Hello and welcome to the making of EHSB The Movie. Before we get started, I'd like to thank everyone who watched the movie, who attended the premiere, everyone who helped out with the movie. Stuart definitely deserves big praise for his help, and everyone who contributed clips, Scrub-like, Tom, Jack Mac, Was, thank you. It was very nice of you guys to help out, and especially not knowing what I was making, or making this thing was a pretty big trip, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to go into the the nitty-gritties of how I did everything. Hey guys, future troll here. When I recorded this video, I went in a bit unscripted. You might hear future me come in every now and then to elaborate on some things that I might have missed here and there. I've also put timecodes in the description below, just so if you only care about how I made the intro or how I came up with the movie, you can jump around to what you're interested in on how we made whatever we made. Alright, well I guess I'll just hand it over back to past me. In around February or March of 2022, I was thinking of doing something for the 10th anniversary of the YouTube channel. I ended up missing that deadline, but another big 10th anniversary was coming up, and that was of EHSB, our community. I didn't have any ideas of what I wanted to do, how do I possibly top the 8th anniversary video? How do I surprise everybody again? And that was the main thing, what do I do? I don't want to make another best of or do compilation clips again, because I've done it before and it's not creatively challenging. I know people love the best ofs, and I don't really remember the train of thought I followed to come up with, I want to do a movie, and my brain just kind of went, well, I want to go big again. So in scale of escalation, you go best of, you're making statues in Minecraft, and then alright, let's just make a movie. That's natural progression, isn't it? So my original idea was I wanted to go a movie-length collection of all the best clips from the channel, and I know that's still best of, but go all the way back and just go movie length. And then I was gonna get things from Fected's channel probably. Stuart had some extra stuff on his hard drive that was fucking yonks old, the old League of Legends video, the first clip of the movie, the Benja one. He had some stuff from Battlefield 3. He had a lot, and Just Cause as well, the Just Cause stuff. And then after I saw all those clips, and I realized myself, I had a lot of unused footage that people had never seen before, that was never able to go into a video just by itself. From that point on, I was like, well, maybe if I can get some clips from some people, maybe I might be able to do I could take the movie length idea video, but do it all from unseen and unused footage. And that was probably the train of thought there. So I sourced a bunch of clips. Once again, thank you, Stuart, Scrub-like, Tom, Jack Mac, Was, for giving me clips. Thank you to Ash for not deleting your old Minecraft video that was over 10 years old. That was awesome. From there, I just watched as much stuff. I tried to get as much stuff as possible, and I just sifted through it. And from there, my goal was just to get a 90-minute, a standard movie-length video out. So the movie, including the intro and the outro, comes to around about an hour and 55 minutes. I hit that pretty easily, and even had some clips to spare after all of it. It means I could be a bit more selective with the clips I put in, and it very much helped to up the quality of the project itself. The first main goal when collecting all the clips and getting everything for the movie was to make sure that everybody from EHSB was in the movie itself, at least at some point or another. Yeah, I wanted to make sure everyone was included in the movie. That was the main thing. So I edited the entire movie in Sony Vegas. That's my software of choice. There's a few reasons for that. Vegas is just very simple. It's very simple to do the simple things like dragging, dropping, cutting and keyframing is just really, really quick and easy. The other thing I like about Vegas over others like Adobe is that I can just buy the software outright. I don't want to pay a ridiculous amount a month, especially seeing as, sometimes I just go months without editing anyway. I can just buy Vegas outright for a couple $100. The parts where Vegas starts to struggle when it comes to advanced things like effects, etc. It's not usually a problem for me because I'm never usually doing anything too advanced, but that's still just where it struggles the most. Alright, so let's talk about the theme of the movie. The theme of the movie being a broken VHS tape. Oh my god, I've been re-recording so many lines today. So when I was a kid, we used to have VHS tapes, and and Zoomers won't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You see them in 80s movies, alright? Not that I'm that old. And we still had VHS tapes in the late 90s, but if you ever wanted to record something off your TV, you'd have to put in, a little blank VHS tape and record it. So when I was a kid, my aunties or my uncle, I can't remember which, it was probably one of my aunties, recorded Lionel Woodley off the TV onto a VHS tape. But they had recorded it over, I'm not sure if they did this intentionally or not, but like in between the episodes there'd be like music videos from Rage. Unless you're an Australian kid in the 90s and 80s, you wouldn't know what Rage is, but it's basically old MTV for, Australians. Rage. And some of the music videos are in the movie itself, like the Jesus Is Still Alright With Me was one of them. There's that Will Smith fucking Men in Black song. So that's where I got the idea for the theme of the movie. The reason I did this though was I needed something to break up changing from game to game during the movie. So from going from say League of Legends to Arma 2, I didn't want there to be it to be jarring, jumping from one game to the other. So the idea behind the weird VHS transitions is that it will play like a random clip or whatever of Lionel Woodley or My Brand. So it's a way to kind of reset. So I feel like if I didn't have these clips and we're just jumping from game to game so suddenly all the time, it might get a bit jarring because there's a lot of different games and there's a lot of different time periods happening. The clips are basically a way to try and train the viewer, not only reset the viewing experience, but also train the viewer that when these clips come up and when the transition happens, that we're going to a different game and that we're going to a different time period. Not only is the broken VHS motif, just a tribute to an old childhood experience, it also has an actual purpose in the movie itself. So let's move on to making the intro. The intro was a pretty big undertaking. While over the months that I was collecting clips and sifting through everything, I was making a Spotify playlist and I was just putting in as many songs that I thought were good for an intro, and from there I just listened to see if they give me inspiration. Just another future me side note, I listened to these songs so much that they kind of ruined my top songs of 22 in Spotify. You can see here that my top 10 is just filled with songs that I thought about using and I'd listened to so many times. I reckon any one of these top four or five songs could have been the intro at any time. But the reason I settled on Hung Up by Madonna overall was probably because it fits better with the overall theme of the movie. It does sound very retro. It also helps the beat and the melody of the song is very repetitive, which means I can cut down the song where I needed to very easily and cut out verses and lyrics that I didn't really like. On top of that, I think the breakdown in the song and the eventual build-up is very, very good. And after listening to it a few times, that's where I kind of got the idea for the Rocket League car to go down that big tunnel and the clips to come back up. And that part was all kind of built around the song itself and around the breakdown. Getting into the intro itself, I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, which was a character moving from one game to another, but through portals. They'd move through a portal and then ended up in another game, etc., etc. I guess the end product, it didn't change that much. I settled for a morph effect, and then I kind of tried to match the frames, transition through to make it look like the video was glitching, which kind of fit better with the movie's overall theme and motive, the damaged VHS tape kind of theme to the movie. Looking back at it now, I wish I'd have thought of using a bit more of an analog looking effect when transitioning. The effect is a bit digital, and even though it does kind of fit with the theme, it kind of doesn't fit with the rest of the movie looking back at it now. Moving back to the portal idea, another reason I originally scrapped that was the effects would have been very hard to do. Moving a character through a portal, etc., etc., would have required a lot of green screening, or just it would have required a lot of keyframing, I think, and cutting out the character and keyframing it through a bunch of things, or green screening, which would have been very, very time consuming. It might have looked okay, but as I would soon find out, Machinimating in like 5 or 6 different games can be a bitch. Some of the game's theater modes really suck. So my idea of thinking with the start is the establishing shots, showing us through every single game that we're going to be going through in the intro. I know two of the 5 games here didn't actually end up making any content in the movie. I picked the games based on how readily I could get into a theater mode and start filming. So we had Fortnite, we have Halo 3, but I decided to pick games everyone had played, so it wasn't too crazy. I just want to take a quick detour here and talk about machinimating in each of these games. Halo is the same as it was in 2007. It's very simple. Having to do all your camera movements in real time, not too much of a bother. People have managed to deal with that, like, Red vs Blue managed to deal with it. Next up is League of Legends. So with League of Legends, it has its own theater system, but you need to download a third-party app to kind of access all the camera angles, and from there you can keyframe the camera as much as you like. It's a bit glitchy, but that comes with it being a third-party program. It is a little bit of a pain. Not too much of a worry though. The reason this is the shots in this are really messy is because this is a real game and I just saved the replay file and went back later. I really love this shot of the sweeping shot of a team fight happening. It's pretty chaotic, but it just looks really good. Fortnite is a pain in the ass to film. It has a theater mode similar to Halo 3's, but you can keyframe your camera movements and stuff. Well, I think you can. I don't know. You can press the wrong button and it will take you out of everything completely, and it will start you from scratch. And that was a big pain. It's probably why most of the shots in there are very static, with the exception of the ball shot. Next up we have Rocket League. Rocket League has a very good theater mode. It has green screening. It's like a godsend. Why is this one so good? It has a lot of camera options, and that's probably why the shots look really good in this one more than anything else, because you can do ball tracking. You can just green screen the entirety of the map and leave just the characters and the ball, so that's where you see that shot where it goes into the tunnel. I was just able to press a button and green screen the entirety of the thing except for the car. I was like, I'm definitely using this. Last up we have GTA, and I recorded in GTA in 2 different ways. The first off, which is the time-lapse shots, were filmed in real time. There's this mod that I got where you could free cam and you could just select 2 points on the map, and then the camera will automatically go from point A to point B. From there, I just set the timer from it to going to A to B to be 20 minutes, IRL 20 minutes. So these establishing shots you see here are 20 minutes of real time sped up. So I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but in the second time-lapse shot, the footage is actually reversed, and you can see on the side here all the cars are driving backwards. The reason I did this is because when I approached doing the intro, I did it in a very kind of I was very freeform with it. When I did this shot here, the time-lapse shot, I realized that it started off outside my apartment in GTA Online. And as you can see, my character comes out of this car park here, which is the same building. Shot ended in front of the garage and had the thing come out. And I was like, oh, well, if the thing starts, I can just reverse it. I don't think anyone would notice. It just happened to be happenstance that the shot started where it was, and I didn't realize until later. I was like, oh, I could just come out of this thing. I'm going to reverse that. If I was to do it again, make the time-lapse shot actually finish outside the garage, and then match that shot with my car coming out in real time. Mostly the reason I didn't do that at the time, and I did think of it, but I didn't do it at the time, is because, for one, the time-lapse shot's taking 20-30 plus minutes to do each time. Even though there's 2 time-lapse shots here, those weren't the only 2 I did. I did do a lot of testing, and this took about a whole day to do, just the time-lapse shots themselves. And so I was a bit hesitant to try and just fix it up again, because by that time I was just done with it. And the other thing is with the second way I recorded in GTA. So the second way I filmed in GTA was using its own theater mode, which you press a button while you're playing in game and it'll start recording the game around you. This is a pain in the ass. Once you've finished recording in GTA, you can go into a it has its own editing software in game, and until you render it out in the game, until it's rendered out, it is watermarked, which you have to export it directly to YouTube or the Rockstar website. You can't just save it locally to your hard drive. You can't render it locally to your hard drive for some reason. So I had to export it to YouTube unlisted, download it off YouTube back to my hard drive so I could fix up the keyframing and stuff, because there's no way to edit this video to the music when I can't just have it in Vegas. The second kicker is that the max resolution it can come out of is 720p. Or maybe it's 1080, but the bitrate is terrible. And as you can see in this skyline kind of shot, this horizon shot where Benja's name comes up, you can just see the fucking bitrate. You can see the pixels just across the horizon here. It looks really awful. The editing system in GTA isn't bad, it's just the hoops you have to go to just export something is ridiculous, and then it doesn't even do it in the full quality. And it can do it in the full quality, it just forces you to not. Rant over. Overall, the intro, not counting how much time listening to the songs, probably took me about a week to make. The other thing is finding people's names, old names, was a pain in the ass. There's a couple of people who just don't change their names, like Jack Mac. Just change your name once, for fuck's sakes. It's very hard to find people's old names without them knowing. I had to ask for a couple, Jingles is his old name. I knew he had this old weird name from League of Legends, but I just could not figure it out, so I think I asked Fected about it, and I may have given a bit too much away when I asked Fected about it. He kind of clued into what I was doing. Overall, I think the intro turned out fairly well, but a couple of little glitches here and there. Narrowing down the music and what I was going to use for the intro took months, though. It was the last thing I made for the movie. Yeah, I probably only finished this intro about a day before I uploaded. Alright, next up I wanted to talk about making the golf advertisement. It feels like I'm losing my voice. This was really fun to make. While I was thinking of things that I wanted to do for the movie, I didn't just want it to be, old clips or whatever. I wanted to spice it up, and I really wanted to do a skit at some point. In history of my YouTube channel, I wanted to do a skit of some kind. I originally wanted to do a machinimated fake PSA for something. I can't quite remember. It was going to be an advertisement in League of Legends. Get some other people around Discord to do voices for it, and I kind of pivoted from that idea when I wanted to keep the entire movie a mystery to everyone. So my rationale from there was I wanted to do a movie about kind of an inside joke, and then keeping with a fake advertisement or a PSA kind of idea. That's kind of where I went from there. I don't remember where I got the idea that I wanted to do a video about Oasis, the golf map. Whenever I got the idea, I wrote a script almost immediately, and then I sent it off to Stuart to see if what he thought of it, and he's like, oh, that's kind of funny. And I was from there I just kind of went, well, I'm just gonna find someone to see if they'll voice it. From there I went onto Fiverr and I found this guy, and I listened to his reel. He's this veteran with 40 years of doing radio, and I listened to his voice. I'm this guy sounds so good. But before I commissioned him, I sent him a message and I attached the script, and I was like, hey man, I have the script that I want you to do, but before I commission you and make you I don't want you to do this if you're not comfortable. I want to check if you're okay with it because it's a bit strange. And then he read it and he was like, yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I wasn't expecting this guy to be so on board with it. I gave this guy zero direction. I was like, look, make this script sound like an infomercial. With the testimonials, just, do what you think is right. And I just wanted to see what he would come up with. From there, he absolutely knocked it out of the park. He gave me he did the take 3 times. And he gave me 3 different versions he'd done. with the testimonials all sounding a little bit different.
While Benja said, "Fuck Egypt, who'd want to go to Egypt anyway? It's too fucking hot." While Benja said, "Fuck Egypt, who'd want to go to Egypt anyway? It's too fucking hot." While Benja said, "Fuck Egypt, who'd want to go to Egypt anyway? It's too fucking hot."
He knocked it out of the park with the first one. Originally, I was going to pick and choose and cut through the three to get the best take of each line out of all of them. I just used everything from the first. It was too good. It was so good. So from the voice recording he gave me, I just built the video out from there. I went into golf, I did some cinematic shots and added some music, and I really didn't do much editing. Overall, it took a day. I got the idea probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I sent the script off to this dude at 10 o'clock that night, went to bed, woke up to an email at 12 o'clock, so it only took him a couple of hours to do it. So the next morning I woke up and I made the video from there. Yeah, this was one of the funniest kind of turns for people when they originally watched it. They didn't know what they were watching until the testimonials came back, and I think it clicked for a lot of people, oh right, this is what this is, kind of thing. That was really fun to watch live, everyone's reactions. Alrighty, so making of the snacks video. Originally the finale for the video wasn't going to be the snacks thing. That was this kind of long drawn out fight and thing that happened in DayZ. It's in the Cut for Time video. That was originally going to be the finale of the video, and it would have been an okay-ish finale. It's a bit drawn out. It's not crazy exciting, but it is does have an exciting ending. I wasn't happy with that being the finale though, and so I just tried to come up with any ideas. The idea came from, I was talking with someone, I think it was Ash and CD on Discord, about snacks and stuff, just lollies and things. I'd ordered from this website before, a bunch of lollies, and I was just kind of looking through it, and I found the Mountain Dew, the red hot Mountain Dews, but that we ended up drinking in the snacks video, and I was like, this looks so gross. It looks like it tastes like shit. And I had a curiosity, what would it taste like? What would a red hot Mountain Dew taste like? It turns out it tastes like nothing. But I was like, what if I just ate some bullshit for a video? For the finale, I just ate some bad snacks and just kind of suffered. And from there, I was like, oh, well, I messaged Stuart and I was like, do you want to eat some terrible snacks from the video for the movie, for the ending of the movie? And I'll set up this Q&A. We'll get some people to ask as many questions as possible, and from there we'll eat some terrible snacks, and then we'll answer questions, and that could be a cool thing to tie everything together, EHSB law and etc. etc. So yeah, from there I ordered everything. I felt like I didn't order enough on the day, so on the day we started recording, I zipped out to this place that had that sold stuff that was similar to the website I ordered off. And I just picked up as much shit there. Overall, I feel like I spent probably I think it was I might have spent about $200 overall on the snacks. From there, when we went to Stuart's house, I didn't really have much of a plan apart from having the snacks sorted into the different categories. And originally we did rate them out of 10. We didn't really stick to that. The video was very freeform in the way we did it. We just kind of went with it. In hindsight, it was pretty good. I feel like we got our groove eventually. The first category, we were definitely finding our feet with it. So the way we set it up is we had 2 static camera shots. One was a GoPro that was supposed to capture a different angle, and then there's the static front shot that you see for the most of it. The DSLR, Stuart's DSLR camera. The problem with the DSLR was that it would only record in 13-minute segments, and then it would shut itself off. We had to get things done, and then eventually we'd be in the middle of a sentence, and then the camera would shut off, and then we had the GoPro as the backup, luckily, so we didn't lose anything. Everything was recorded from the Rode mic, which is the microphone I'm using for this video right now. We both had lav mics on, and they were attached to our phones, and they were going to record our thing. One of the lav mics didn't end up working. It was Stuart's. It picked up my voice louder than his, so I don't know if he had it on wrong or maybe I was just talking louder at the time. Thank fuck I had a backup. So we had we had the Rode mic as the backup, which ended up being the main sound. Luckily we had a couple of redundancies in place, because otherwise we probably would have lost a lot there. The Rode mic is got a pretty long cable, so it goes off this table down below and all the way over to Stuart's computer, which is on the other side of the room. It's just like a really long cable. And so from there, something that isn't in the video, it is kind of in the video, that we rated most of these out of 10. In the full video, I cut all of that out for time. The time it took to do all the recording, I think I got to Stuart's house to 11:30, and I left at 6:30 that night. So I got to Stuart's house at about 11:30. From there, we did all the dolly shots. As you can probably see in the video itself, there's a couple of things that weren't in there, that were either cut for time or we didn't end up eating. There were these red hot lollipops. We didn't eat those because we just didn't have the time to do it, or we didn't feel like doing, because by that time we were just so fucked. Our stomachs were so upset, we just couldn't do it anymore. So we cut a couple of things out. So the dolly shots were all done by Stuart. He's got a good DSLR camera, and he's got a little dolly rig that has a bit of a hitch in it. So I'm not sure if you saw in some of the things, the camera doesn't move quite smoothly. Tried to smooth it out a bit, and hopefully it was good enough for what it was. So the entire setup was mostly done by Stuart. I pretty much just supplied the equipment and the snacks, and he set everything up, and I think he did a very good job. It was a shame about the lav mics. I think it would have been nicer to have a bit more clear audio, especially when people are putting things down on the table. You can hear the bang. It comes through the... anytime someone does put something down on the table, does this. Annoying. Not much we can do if the lav mics suck. It took about around 5 to 6 hours to film the snack eating segments. In the movie, it was pretty easy to cut down. I'd like to apologise to Stuart again. I'm sorry. It was a good idea at the time, maybe. It probably actually wasn't a good idea at all, really. We probably could have just done the Dorito segment. This wreaked havoc on our bodies. Stuart was just dead afterwards. I was a bit worried I might have killed him. Poor Louise had to deal with that. If I was going to redo the snacks video again, I would probably have a bit more of a structure in place. Stuart did end up doing a lot of the work when it came to the actual filming. I would never use that DSLR ever again. That was a nightmare to try and film around, and that probably added so much more time to the entire filming, having to reset so often. Luckily we had all those redundancies in place, so we did manage to get a video out. I would put some extra work into the sound quality of the Rode mic next time. I know a bit more about how to balance and make the audio sound a bit better now. Next up, I'd do a lot less snacks. Try and find a bit more weirder ones. Well, on the day, we had a lot of stuff that was just it was actually alright. That's about it. And then we moved on. Obviously the highlights are when we drink the coffee, tonic, beer, when we eat the Doritos chips. And I think I might, in the future, when I feel like revisiting it, I might do a remaster of the snacks video, cut it down to under 20 minutes and just get the finest points out. I was mostly thinking about how it would fit into the movie itself and not as the standalone. The standalone video doesn't quite work. I kind of went for a chill vibe to the entire thing, but maybe if I was to do it again, I would structure it a little bit better and just try and tighten it up. Structure the video a bit better, use a different camera. I think a phone camera would have done. I think the DSLR might have been overkill. The way it filmed, I think it filmed in a strange frame rate, which meant if I took it onto... It didn't capture movement it doesn't capture movement that well. There's a lot of choppiness between the frames. I'm not sure, I couldn't figure out why it was doing that. It was okay for the snacks video itself, but because there's not much movement going on, and you wouldn't notice it. But when it came to the dolly shots, there was weird choppiness. Not only because of the hitch in the dolly thing, but the camera's wasn't really doing motion that well. I couldn't figure that one out. The GoPro was good as a backup, but I think the camera angle wasn't that great. It might have been just better to have it a bit lower, a bit all around the side. But like I said, it's, you know, we didn't really plan much out apart from the equipment that we needed, or we thought we would need. And yeah, so if I was to do it, if I was to do any more live action stuff, which I don't know, it's on the cards. I would probably have someone behind, instead of the GoPro, a second stationary GoPro. Maybe I would have someone on a camera and have them be able to move around and get different shots. I think that would be fun. Yeah, it was a fun experiment, and there were a lot of learnings I took away from doing it. So that was all, and it was a lot of fun on the day, but the aftermath was brutal. Alright, last up we have the movie outro. Somehow the movie outro, which is just like a bunch of old Steam screenshots popping up and disappearing, was one of the hardest things to make. The biggest pain in the ass was the backgrounds transitioning. There's like a little burning effect that comes up. I don't know why this thing broke. This transition effect broke so many times. It took me hours to try and figure out why it wasn't working, and just try and maybe figure out a way to fix it. Next up was like the screenshots. I couldn't find a way for them to come up and me like them. Originally they were just going to be in 4 quadrants. It still kind of is like that, like they've just come up in 4 different quadrants, and then I just ended up saying, fuck it, I'll just put it like however I want. Somehow this took so long to do. But conceptually, from start to finish, it's pretty much exactly... It was pretty straightforward. Scoured everybody's old Steam screenshots, dated them, and then subtitle underneath. Pretty easy. I just tried to find as many kind of memorable moments as possible. And I think it's a very good way to cap off the movie. There's not much else to say about it. It's just, I really loved the song. The whole thing came together after I heard the song. Like, I was like, wow, I really, really like the song. This, like, a lot of ideas I get, it comes from if I hear a song that I like and something just flips in my brain, like, oh, this could be cool if I did this, and then just extremely happy with how this turned out. And I think it is a very good cap to the movie. So, just some reflections on the movie. The subtitling was, I'm not sure entirely necessary. Probably could have saved me a lot of headaches, just not putting it in there. I don't know. I still don't feel right about it, but I feel like I kind of needed to put them in there, because everyone's voices all over the movie are at different sound levels, and it's very hard to keep track of. I didn't subtitle everything, and I tried to like get the start of a joke to like, because usually there's people talking over each other. I tried to get the conversation you should be tuning into, so the subtitling kind of helps you tune into that, but I don't think I like the tech that I used. I probably should have spent a bit more time scouring some before I committed to it. Next up is I really should have cut, or at least tried to get the Benja talking about the history of Havoc Gaming. Maybe try and get it down a bit. It is 7 minutes long. To be cut down, it should have been a minute, maybe 2 minutes. When I originally called Benja, like on Discord, to talk about it, this conversation went for an hour and a half. And it is just us talking about it. So much random bullshit. It's actually a pretty good conversation. This needed to be cut down, and Benja did offer to cut it down to like do an abridged version. I was like, nah, it'll be fine. I'll put it in, and in hindsight, if I didn't rush towards the end of this movie, I should have been cut, at least cut down, at least to its very finest points. The Snacks video, I still like it. Snacks video in hindsight, it works well, I think. I think the movie version is better than the standalone version just because of how it's cut down, and it doesn't spend too much time. It is 20 minutes. Just because it was in the movie, it forced me to cut it down a bit finer and just to the funniest points. But it does make it make the 6 hours we spent filming feel like a waste. If there was anything else I could have done differently, I feel like the movie itself is pretty decently paced. I wish maybe I could have done a bit more editing to it. There were a couple of ideas. In the end, when I set myself a date to actually upload this, because I was spending a lot of time, I kind of did do a bit of a sprint towards the finish. If I did have some ideas to throw in there that I probably should have in hindsight, just spent the time. I kind of wish maybe I put a couple more skits in there. Things like the DJ Soul Mix Game of Thrones thing. I feel like maybe it could have used another one towards the end just to break things up a bit. I didn't really have any ideas, that's why I didn't do it in the end. The premiere night was a lot of fun. I'm so glad that so many people showed up. I think the movie wouldn't have felt like as much of an achievement if we didn't have the premiere night with there was 10, 15 of us all watching it together at the same time. In Discord, honestly made it feel like that night made the entirety of making the movie feel worth it. And everyone's positive receptions to it, and it was fun seeing everyone's reactions to the intro, to the golf advert, to the snacks video part, and to the sneaky little 10 to 15 year old clips that are put in there that everyone had forgotten about. The reactions were just totally worth it. So, and thanks again to everyone who came in and said good things. Made me feel good about the amount of time I spent making this video. Yeah, seriously, thank you to everyone in EHSB. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm so glad that we can come together and just do things like this. Thanks for watching my behind the scenes / making of EHSB The Movie. I know this isn't what my normal content is like. I'm just kind of trialing and experimenting with some new stuff. God, most of my recordings, 20% of it is just and just silence while trying to think of things to say. Definitely something different. Anyways, catch you guys in the next one. See ya.